What is up, everybody? I'm Paul from FitSpaz. This is FitSpaz Recovery, a place where I want to help you get healthy, stay fit, and also stay sober. So, I have a lot of stuff on my mind today, actually. In particular, I've been thinking about maybe talking to you guys about how well I have stuck with my goals since the new year, and I've been doing a pretty good job, let me tell you. You know what I mean? Oh, come on, dude. No, that's really unprofessional of me there. So yeah, I've been doing a pretty good job. Let me just tell you that I was in a state of mind where I was like, how am I gonna improve on last year? Because last year was my first ever entire year sober as an adult. Ever since I was 21, I never had a full year without drinking and smoking. And I'm not gonna get into why I did it. I was just like, I've had a lot of personal growth in 2015, and so what's 2016 gonna bring? And I thought about it very carefully, and I did great with fitness last year too. But I was like, okay, I need to keep the ball rolling this year and literally try and grow beyond myself. And so far, I'm a month and a half into the new year, and I'm doing pretty well in certain respects. Okay. I'm not going to get into everything, but one of the things I highlight to you guys is I have trouble sometimes connecting and engaging with others. I have led a very reclusive life, solitary, sitting in my house alone, watching TV, and this year I decided I am going to make a concerted effort to get out around people more, to be around people more, to engage with people, to do things. Even if my first inclination, which is very true, is like, no, I don't want to do it. I would actually have to be around people, and especially strangers. So I've done a good job. And one of the ways I started was a couple of weeks ago. I told you how I was at a friend's party, and that started the door of meeting new people, a door opening of meeting new people. And it is not easy. I completely understand how not easy it is. So I've been making it a point. It's like this. I'm like, if I get a reasonable invitation to hang out with people who are fundamentally cool, I'm taking the bait. I'm taking the invitation. I'm saying, yes, I'm going to go hang around people. That's good for me to do. Like I did this past weekend. I got invited out on Saturday, and my first thing I wanted to do was to say like, no thank you. I appreciate the invite and I do, but no thank you, because I had this nervousness inside of me. I was like, oh, I'll have to be around strangers, and who will they be, and how will I feel? Will I be sitting there all quiet and weird in a crowd? But it was just a few people I was around, and 3 people were drinking wine, and I was not, and my friend Jennifer was not, and it was nice. It was actually very nice. People had a great sense of humor. There was great food. It was nice company, good conversation about all kinds of interesting things, controversial things. Nothing that offended me, of course, because I have a wide latitude for topics, but my point being, I'm really glad I got out around people. I appreciated that invite, and I'm glad I decided to go ahead and follow through with it. Just gotta be around people. I think that's the normal life. I remember the Beachbody CEO saying one day on stage last summer at the Beachbody Summit, like, when he starts to get depressed, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact quote. Essentially, he realizes what he needs to do to feel better is to immediately start engaging with people. So he'll go to people. He has an opportunity to be around people and meet people all the time, but he goes to people and starts asking questions about various things, this and that. And that's what I need to do, you know that? I am an introvert by my very nature, but I do need people up to a certain point. Although the type of person I am, I get my fill, and I know when I want to be out. I've been made fun of before because I'm the guy oftentimes who will leave early and be like, yeah, good night, everybody. And they're like, oh, is it Paul's bedtime? I've actually been made fun of like that. But it's true. I get my fill, and I need some peace of mind after I have enough social interaction. But I think the more I do it, the more comfortable I'm getting, making conversations with people. I'm also not wanting to be the type of person who does all the talking. I want to be a good listener, so I've been focusing a lot on listening to people. So, in that sense, my New Year's goals have been pretty good. The whole thing is I want to develop relationships with people, and I also think that term right there, developing relationships, it's essential for other things that I want to do, like building out this show, like getting people involved in fitness, helping people getting going in fitness, helping people sober up, which is really something I want to do. I want to offer something of value in terms of perspective that it doesn't have to help anybody, just as long as it's something of value that reaches somebody. Heaven's sake. Like if I could help somebody out there, I'd really appreciate it. Speaking of which, if you have 6 months or a year sober, and if also you are involved in fitness in any capacity, and that's part of your routine to stay sober, if you have a pretty good story of your journey, I would love to talk to you. So shoot me a message to paul@fitspaz.com. Along the lines of my other goals, my goal is always to stick with fitness and keep doing that. It's just really important to me. As I've said on here, I'm going to say it again right now, fitness is something I feel like I have control over. So whatever else life is offering, whether or not it's failing me or I'm failing, whatever, I still have fitness. I can look at that and still feel good about it. So that's why I do that. And so I've mentioned on here, if you haven't heard a show before, at the beginning of the year, right after the new year, I started this program called Hammer and Chisel. And a week into it, I sprained my ankle, which sucked. But I kept my spirits really good. So I started this new workout program and I couldn't continue it. So I was a little bummed, but I kept going with physical activity. And I also did very well keeping my mood positive, because for a couple of weeks it really sucked. I couldn't do anything normal at all. And I still have some remnant pain, but I'm back to normal doing a lot of the things I was doing before. But the first couple of days it really sucked. But anyway, my point is, my whole goal was to finish this program, Hammer and Chisel. It's a 2-month program, so I was like, dag nabbit. And so fortunately I kept very active still with my fitness. And just recently, a week ago today, I restarted this program, being much more cautious because I don't want to sprain my ankle or get injured again. So there are certain things I'm modifying. I don't need to be Mr. Superhero. I just want to get through it. So I have to be honest with you. So along these lines, fitness has been going well this new year, despite hurting myself. And I've been loving this new program, honestly. Like, it is really a pain in the butt and a bear, but it's amazing how sometimes the harder the workout is and the more the challenge I set myself up for in the morning when I'm doing it, I'm just like blown away. When I'm done, I'm like, oh my God. And today I did so well that I kind of go, holy crap. And I love when I'm pushing myself and I'm seeing improvements with my cardio or my strength. I feel sore, and I'm grateful to feel sore. Like I heard this lady Autumn, who's the trainer on the program, to say, today she said on the recording, she goes, if you're feeling sore, that means something's working. And I'm like, yes. So because the reason I'm happy about it, and it sounds silly, is because when you're sore, it's like you just know something's working right, and that muscle's going to heal, and it's going to be stronger, it's going to be better, it's going to be bigger. And I like that. I get a big kick out of that. So when I'm sore, I'm like, yes, I did it. And I don't like to overdo it. I like to get just the right amount. And sometimes if I know I'm adapted, I push myself even harder. But my point is, related to your recovery, substance abuse, and all this jazz, honestly, it makes me feel so good that I have to sing the praises of it, because I'm hoping to draw people in here eventually, okay? It's really special, you guys, and so I want you to get involved. I can help you get involved, so send messages to paul@fitspaz.com, and we'll get you going somehow. It is just an empowering way to get over drug addiction, and if you do the right amount, you'll feel better, you'll detox better, Your mind will clear out better. It causes you to heal. I think it's good for immunity. I think when the blood is flowing through the mind, your mind is rejuvenating and you're going to feel better. Your mood is going to feel better. It's just common sense to me because you read it all the time. You hear it in the news that exercising is good for your mood. So that's why I'm like, Shia LaBeouf, do it! Do it! Just do it! You know what I mean? If you've seen that clip. If you haven't seen that clip, go to YouTube and search Shia LaBeouf, do it. And this video will come up on top where he's standing in front of a green screen and he's giving this spiel about doing it. I love it. To be honest with you, I love it. So my goals have been very good. There are certain things I've wanted to accomplish. I've been doing great with personal development in this new year, listening to cool podcasts. I've listened to Chalene Johnson all the time. I'm starting out reading a few books, and usually the ones I like, I sample them on Kindle, and if I like it, I go ahead and buy it. And sometimes it's available through your local library, and you can check it out for a couple weeks in Kindle form. So these are just suggestions. Do that if you want to. If you're like, oh, I want to do something, there's all this free content available to you. I don't know if you know that. If you have an internet connection, but you don't have cable, but you're like, oh, I want to watch more, you can check out movies from the library. They're also available online in app form. So ask them at the library, hey, how can I get online some books that I can check out in electronic form for my Kindle? Ask them that, okay? I'm giving you all these free resources, so don't just be like, do it. Do it! Okay. Tonight the plan is, but let me say, tonight is the series second season premiere of or wait a minute. Is it Just Call Saul? Just Call Saul. Love that show. Love it. So I'm happy. I'm recording that on my DVR right now unless that piece of crap broke down on me. New Comcast X1, you better work, Buster. And I'll fast forward the commercials. And I'm like, oh yeah, baby, I get to escape a little bit. Because TV is a great form of escapism sometimes. Actually, after I do this recording, I'm going to put this up online. And then I'm going to watch Saul so it can have my full attention and I can be like, wonderful storytelling. Inspire me with your story. Make me this inspired person. All you crazy lawyers and drug addict criminals. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just being silly. So I'm going to move on with another step in here. I skipped right over step 7. Step 7 is humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. Never mind that one. And not that it's not important. I might come back to it at some point. I'm just all talked out with God, okay? So I want to talk about step 8 because it is relevant to me. And I do have feelings about it. Strong feelings about it myself. Because I have read each of these steps. And I've really, even though I haven't worked them with a sponsor, I've really thought about them in the context of my own life. Trying to sort myself out so that I can be stronger as a sober person, never going back to that lifestyle again. I really don't want to. And, you know, people out there, you might roll your eyes, but I support your right to make a free choice. You should support my right to make a free choice. So step numero 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. That's a tough one, people. So let me begin by reading this first paragraph, and then I'll just riff on it and do my thing. There are many spiritual principles involved in step 8. Honesty, openness, willingness, faith, acceptance, and particularly love and forgiveness. In the first 7 steps, we worked on restoring our relationships with our higher power and ourselves. With this foundation in place, we were now ready to begin restoring our relationships with others. Okay, so I don't know how you guys have wronged people, but I know that there are people I've wronged, but there's part of this principle is, I guess you, let me go to the beginning of the next one really quick. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. So there are all kinds of people. It would be a good thing to make amends, but the simple fact is merely by opening a dialogue with those people, it's not going to make things better. It's going to reopen old wounds and it's going to hurt us both. And so you have to make a judgment call. If something is there that you can fix, be smart about it. You know, you don't want to open something up that is going to cause a lot of pain for you or that other person. And it's not worth it because the point is to heal. The whole point here is to heal. But you know what? Personally, I admit I have trouble forgiving people. I certainly feel that I've been wronged by a lot of people. I feel that I've been misunderstood as a person and totally misjudged. And forgiveness is a tall order for me. However, this is something I've really tried to be open to. And not because other people deserve forgiveness. Sometimes they do. To be honest with you, I've thought that earlier today. Like, certain people make mistakes and you're like, I can forgive you. And they deserve forgiveness. But sometimes I get angry and I think, I loved you, I cared about you, and you totally screwed me over. And so forgiving you, then you have to consider forgiveness not always for the benefit of that other person, because like I said, they might not deserve it. You have to consider forgiveness for yourself because maybe you deserve it. If you're trying to be a better person and you want to make your life full of less poison and anger and resentment, throw it off your shoulders. Decide for yourself to forgive people. And you know what? Honestly, in my prayer the last few days, I've been incorporating people who really upset me for recently all the way back for several years. I've literally incorporated them in my prayer. And I'm not saying, oh, that person. I'm praying for their well-being. Because I think when you get in the habit of honestly trying to wish someone well and really not just pretending to feel that way, but really trying to feel that way. These people made me mad, but I'm praying for them. I'm praying for their good health. I'm praying for their peace of mind. And I think that's healthy for you as an exercise of forgiveness if you have trouble forgiving. And also, let me tell you something. There are people out there who probably are gigantic a-holes and they don't deserve forgiveness because their infraction or whatever they did was so bad, they probably don't deserve forgiveness. You still have to sort it out within yourself. You have to find it within yourself to forgive, to throw the weight off your shoulders. It almost sounds selfish explaining it that way, but I don't think it is because it's with extremely good intentions. What I'm saying. I mean, right? Because you're saying you want to be a better person, you want to have less negativity in your mind, you want to be more at peace. So there's nothing about forgiving someone for yourself and your own peace of mind, even when they don't deserve it. There's nothing about it that should stop you if you can get to that point. And it takes work because sometimes I'm so angry I can't even deal with the thought of forgiving people. But I mean, like, let's see, faith, acceptance, love, and forgiveness. Forgiveness stands out in that one for me, definitely. By acting on our character defects, we inflicted harm on ourselves and those around us. You know what else? I've been in relationships where I know that being high all the time or drinking a lot, man, excuse me, people. I have something annoying in my mouth. Being high or getting drunk all the time, it's so not good in a relationship. And I'm not just talking about friendships, okay? I'm talking about, I can think of 2 people I've been in relationships with romantically. And it did not help that I was high and drunk all the time. You know, my mood was angry. I would get mad at things that were abnormal, and there was this huge oscillation between angry and sometimes too sentimental, and instead of just that fine middle balance, and I was not a good listener. And so when I think about how, sometimes it makes me really sad when I think about how being high and not being a good listener and not connecting properly with someone I might love madly, for example, thinking about that, it makes me sad because I wonder how would life have turned out differently if I had just been mature enough to say, you know what, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to smoke, I'm just going to pour myself into being a good person, a mature person, enriching my relationships. And, when you're not in a mature state of mind, it's totally reasonable for someone you're with who's growing and their life doesn't revolve around drugs or drug use or drinking to be like, you know what, this is not what I want. That's reasonable when I think about it. And I'm not talking about an occasional thing, because an occasional thing, I'm talking about somebody whose lifestyle revolves around getting drunk, getting high. Imagine what you're doing to somebody who you might be with who wants to grow beyond that. So they're going to grow and you're going to be left behind. And if you love that person, here's a super valid reason you should be giving up those habits. Like losing your children too. They fit into that mix. You want to be sober and lucid and a good role model for your kids, modeling good behavior. Of course, that all makes sense to me. Upon coming to our first few meetings, some of us began to realize the havoc we had wrought upon our friends, families, and loved ones. And in the case of some people, we're talking about you might have gotten in trouble with the law and you have to call friends and family to help bail you out of trouble, and they're there. And how blessed are you? And how are you taking your blessings for granted when somebody's having to come and help you out of a situation you shouldn't be in and you wouldn't be in if you just lived life by the straight and narrow? And when you put your mind to it, life can be pretty enriching and fulfilling when you're sober. I think ultimately, if you can get over the drugs and you haven't done too much damage, if you can get back to a semi-normal, you can have a pretty good life, and it's worth it. Our first inclination was to rush out and make amends to those who we cared about and harmed. If we do this too early in the process, however, we run the risk of feeling rejection and failure. Yeah, I could hear that. Which can pose a threat to our recovery. So I think there's some truth to that. The longer you establish the fact that this is a legitimate, real, and lasting change in your life, the better chance you're going to have at making amends, because those people are going to see the change in you. They're going to appreciate it. But I mean, like, if it's just a week or two and you're like, I'm sorry, it's like, hey, obviously it's too soon, especially when you're in that time window of falling back and maybe screwing up again. And when you're rejected early on, I think that's why it says early on, emotionally it can throw you off the wagon again, because that's what you're really dealing with in those early stages of recovery. Just those wildly oscillating emotions. It's like you've been numb forever, high all the time, and you're like, boom, I'm sober now. Now I have to deal with life, real life. You got to be kidding me. I know what that's like. Many of us used to say that we were sorry all the time, and we would then continue to practice the same behavior. Exactly. We could possibly, I bet you can be sorry, but you can be engaging in the same behavior, because that's the nature of addiction. And I've heard Dr. Drew say it, like, you should try to be mad at the addict. So for people who are suffering because they have a loved one in, dealing with the frustration of drug addiction, hate the addiction, be mad at the addiction, but still try and love the person, in my opinion, because it pulls them through. Like, somehow love, it may not always work, but sometimes it's one of those tools in the cumulative of everything that matters to try and pull someone through. And sometimes people have that moment where they like realize, I know I did. Granted, I wasn't the most far gone person in the world. How could we possibly think that anyone would trust us or believe our amends until they had seen us acquire a degree of humility and observed? That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I said. And observed a real change in our behavior. This was the process we started by taking step 7. Yeah, it's hard to make amends with people, depending on how badly you've wronged them. I haven't wronged people super duper horribly. I've been pretty mean to people who've wronged me, but as far as specifically a result of my using, what comes to mind, making amends with people when I was in relationships that could have been better if I were just a sober person across the board. it did not serve me being drunk or stoned trying to have a mature relationship with somebody, because I don't think, like I said, moderate behavior, having a drink here and there, that's not what I'm talking about. Or a Saturday night where you enjoy some drinks with friends. Every day, all the time, having to have it. Not being able to do things before getting your drink in or whatever, and coming home and not being able to just spend time with your loved one without having your six-pack after work. Think about it. It's common sense, isn't it? If you're sitting there denying it, probably you have a problem. Our objective was to begin clearing away the wreckage of our past so that we could facilitate our own spiritual awakening. By the time we worked our way through the process of making amends, the level of freedom we began to realize astounded us. I could see that. Like if you're getting somewhere with sobriety and you're realizing the benefits, and people in the process of making amends are also forgiving you, you have that relief. You start gaining strength from it, but you can't all go in the wrong order with these things. That's why I get why it says you shouldn't go and do that too early. So I've talked enough for today, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you've enjoyed this, my little media experiment here, because I used to do something quite different. I was just a full-on shock jock in the past, and now I'm just mellowing out, getting a lot lighter, and really the strong changes here. It's not about being political or highly critical. It's about taking a good, honest look with the end goal being help people. Hopefully, I want to stir some people out of their out of the cycle you're in. Don't go with the same cycle. Just trust me. Trust me. I'm trying to get you to go, oh, maybe Paul's right. I am right. On this matter, I am right. I'm not saying I'm never wrong, but on this matter I'm discussing here, I am right. And even if I went back to smoking marijuana, oh, that reminds me. I just saw an episode of Bill Maher where he lit up a joint at the end of Real Time, and he passed it around to 3 of the other 4 people, and they puffed on it, and I was like, oh my God. I actually thought, what would I do if I were there? Because that would feel like a lot of pressure to me in that context, under those circumstances. Like, oh, hey, this is obviously the cool thing to do right now, because it was about legalization, which I do believe in. I believe in your personal free choice, but this is FitSpaz Radio, and this particular podcast is called FitSpaz Recovery. It's all about helping you get fit, healthy, and stay sober. And I hope it, oh no! Now I gotta do something really unprofessional. Voyage, come on. There we go. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Sorry. The password goes back on once the screen goes off on the computer, and then you have to put the password in to be controlling the computer again. So I have to be touching it. I have to remember to touch it once in a while to keep it from doing that. All right, that's it, everybody. This is FitSpaz. I can get you in a challenge group for fitness if you're like, oh, I want to try something. What can I do, Paul? So if you want to know more, send a message to paul@fitspaz.com. Of course, you can find out more by going to fitspaz.com, or you can go to fitspaz.com to join all the social media and subscribe in iTunes and Stitcher if you use an Android phone. So it's all accessible to you, and if you want help, it's right here. I'm here helping you. Listen to any of the recovery podcasts. I've checked others out, and some of them are pretty good. And the bottom line is, if it helps you, I don't care what you listen to, get help. Find the people you identify with the best. As long as it's conducive to your recovery, do it. Do it! Do it! I would be playing that up there, but it'd be too dark. You know what I'm saying? Sheila Boof, I love you, man. Sheila Boobadoo. All right, everybody, that's it. I'm going to let you go now. Everybody have a nice day. Better call Saul. Woo!